I can override and beam Commander Riker aboard.
No, I better go down and make an evaluation there.
Hello, welcome to Star Trek Sodium. This week we have Star Trek Next Generation Season 2 episode 22, which is the final episode of Season 2, Shades of Grey. In this episode, the world-famous Riker actor would be infected by something on a mysterious planet and would suffer flashbacks to various interesting times from his life on the Enterprise. And now some facts that you didn't even know about it. For a while during Season 2, Gene Roddenberry had the inspirational idea to update the Starfleet uniforms so that they would look less like Navy soldiers' pajamas and more like Starfleet uniforms. Rick Berman didn't want to change the uniforms as it would cost thousands of dollars, but Gene was insistent. During the production of Shades of Grey, Rick Berman begrudgingly told the actors that this was the last time that they'd be wearing the tight costumes that they'd been living in for 2 years, and the general thoughts from the actors was one of jubilation. Upon wrapping up on the filming of the episode, the actors got together in an alleyway behind the studio and burned the costumes in a special barrel. Brent Spiner had asked Rick Berman if the uniforms could be given to the homeless of Skid Row, but Rick commented that the homeless should not look futuristic, that in fact being homeless should be a thing of the past, not a thing of the future. The one actor who did not burn their uniform to bits, though, was the Dr. Pulaski actor, as she would keep the uniform as a fond memory of her short time on the Enterprise.
I'm delighted that you're feeling better, Captain. The Admiral and I were worried about you. Captain.
Negotiations had been ongoing between Rick Berman and Gates McSomething to bring back Will Wheaton's Hensing mother to the silver screen. Unable to decide whether Dr. Crusher was better or worse than Dr. Pulaski, Gene Roddenberry suggested a good, honest duel between the actors, and the victor would get the part of Starship Doctor, but the loser would get their marching orders. Rick Berman suggested that the surname Crusher was much better and much more intimidating than that of Pulaski, and so Dr. Crusher should come back, but Gene had faith in the Pulaski actress Diana Muldaur. The contest was set up in the empty Studio 9 after filming had completed. The duel's rules were simple. They would take turns to plead for the role of ship's doctor to Rick Berman, having to beg him for the role. The Dr. Pulaski doctor refused to lower herself to begging for a part, so she left the role graciously, giving it back to Gates. Rumour has it that as she left the building, Gates McSomething pushed her out with all of her strength, knocking the younger actress to the ground, smashing out all of her top teeth on the asphalt. The way that the Dr. Pulaski actress landed on the ground also dislocated her left arm and broke all of her fingers, but thankfully this is just a rumour, probably started by an irresponsible hack. The main reason for the story of Shades of Grey existing are multiple. First, of course, having a Clips episode saves a lot of money, but more importantly, this is a Riker episode, and it was an excellent chance to reflect on the changes that he'd gone through over 2 entire seasons. As the Clips highlighted his growth in character, it also highlighted the change in his face. During Season 1, he had a fresh young man's face, a face that hadn't seen many of life's ups and downs and was still new to this world. But his more mature, hairy look in Season 2 showed a real maturing of his way of life on board the Enterprise and showed glimpses of his follicled future. Jonathan Frakes would ask Gene Roddenberry if he should make a further change to his face for the upcoming production of Season 3. He suggested to Gene that maybe he should shave off his moustache but keep the beard, to have more of an Amish look. But Gene allegedly told him no, and that look should be reserved for the more distinguished people of history, like Abraham Lincoln. Gene suggested that he thinks of Riker of more of a Mr. T than an Abraham Lincoln, so told him he should keep the whole beard just the way it is. Now, as a clips episode, Shades of Grey would include bits and bobs from several different episodes, but unfortunately the clips from the episode Manhunt had to be refilmed as the original scenes had been lost due to Wil Wheaton. Wheaton had been playing a practical joke by hiding the original film negatives somewhere in the building, but had then forgotten where he'd put them. Therefore, a couple of scenes needed for Manhunt were accurately refilmed using cameras and actors to recreate the way it originally looked. In fact, most people can't even tell the difference, even with their 2 eyes. Because of his practical jokes, Wil Wheaton was punished during Shades of Grey by barely appearing in the clips shown from the previous episodes at all. Observers delight as they relive favourite moments from episodes past, but mostly moments that didn't include the meddlesome Wesley Crusher character that plagued the first couple of seasons. This soapy episode is well known for being a bit light on the story front, and also well known for being called Shades of Grey, but did you even realise that prior to filming, the episode went through 13 alternative titles? I won't tell you all of them, but I'll tell you what 12 of them were. The original script shows that an early version of the story was actually called Bags of 9. After this initial name was turned down, the other names suggested were Shades of Cover, Shades of Green, Looks of Grey, Planet of Spikers, Planet of Trouble, Death Warrant, Warrant of Grey, Bed of Trouble, Allison, Spikers Tribute, and Planet Tornado Spikers Vertical. The episode name that they went to the end, though, was Shades of Grey, which is the same name that this episode has. New Star Trek storyboard artist Lance Ranner had famously approached Rick Berman again with another bold idea. He would produce a new format of episode art that would inspire the youth of today to view a show that they would normally scoff at. A week later, and Lance brought in his finished poster. No original versions of this exist, but based on rumours, it looked exactly like this. Not only did Rick not understand anything about the image at all, but he ordered all copies of it destroyed. He wasn't against Lance trying new things, but he just didn't understand what he was looking at. Lance Ranner unfortunately was ordered to pack his things into a box and leave Paramount Studios for good. He'd been given plenty of chances, but this artistic monstrosity was the final straw. When the filming had wrapped on the final scenes of Season 2 finale, the actors and crew decided that an exciting night out in Hollywood was needed. They arrived at the famous Hollywood Picture House on the opening night of Short Circuit 2. They didn't know what movie was showing that day, but as soon as they realised that it was Short Circuit 2, Rick Berman and Lever Burton concocted a despicable plan. While they were watching the movie, any empty popcorn packets or drink cups were thrown onto the ground, and when they left at the end, they made sure to also litter the seats with candy, drink and popcorn. Not only did they leave the auditorium in a mess, they also didn't flush the toilets after depositing their big stinky dumps. And as Rick Berman would later tell, he didn't even wash his hands after leaving and touching the door handles. The way Berman and Burton saw it, they had well and truly won the great science fiction war of 1988 between Star Trek and their science fiction rival, Short Circuit 2. This episode, centering around Riker, allowed the Picard actor to have a lot of time at home and on the beach, instead of pouncing around on the bridge of a starship. He was only required in the studio for 2 days for creating Shades of Grey, and delighted in retreating to the beach for a healthy swim. One time when he was swimming on Malibu Beach around this period, a lifeguard thought he had lost sight of the actor, only to spot him due to the sunlight reflecting from his balded head. That lifeguard also happened to be famed Ferengi actor Armin Shimmerman, who worked 5 shifts a week on Malibu Beach. As the Picard actor submerged back onto the land after his swim, Shimmerman joked with him that he wished that all swimmers were bald so that he wouldn't lose sight of them in the hensing waves in the summer, which for some reason only seemed to anger Patrick Stewart. Well, thanks for listening to my intrinsic facts about the final episode of Star Trek Next Generation Season 2. Please go ahead and watch my previous episodes for facts for every episode of Season 1 and 2. You really will find some stuff that you probably didn't even realise. Please subscribe if you want, otherwise don't. And I'll see you soon, hopefully, for the start of Season 3 of Star Trek Next Generation, because boy, have I found some interesting facts about that. Ta-ta!